new sucker suit on a hot summer day. Coffee comes back in a nerve-wracking way. The dishes and laundry take the garbage out. What a day, what a day, what a day.
Well, welcome to Schenectady Capital Region Today. We're so happy you're joining us today. We've got a great lineup today. So many interesting things going on in our area, and if you're looking for something great to do for the holidays, we've got a choice for you here today on the show. We're going to be opening up with Cap Rep, and they're doing one of a splinter off of A Wonderful Life. It's called A Wonderful Life Live from WVL Radio Theater, and you're going to find out all about that. And you're going to meet one of the actors here as well. And then we're going to go to Schenectady again, and we're going to be talking about Telebration, and they're doing a celebration called Mountains. And as always, Kate Dunning will be telling us a true story, and I love her story, so stay tuned for that. And then Bill Buell is on, and we're going to be talking about his book on George Lund, who was the first socialist mayor in New York State. I've learned that. We're going to learn about that, but that was right here in Schenectady. And then we have our favorite craftsman here. He's the only blacksmith I know, so he's my favorite blacksmith. It's Brian Salisbury, and he'll be showing us some of his wonderful works, and we'll be talking about Schohary's craft fair coming up as well. And then, of course, we're looking at New York State for their wonderful folklore. So New York Folklore will be here. They're celebrating their 75th anniversary or having some celebrations. We're going to learn about that and about some of their display areas as well. And then we're going to be talking with someone who's raising money for a really wonderful cause called Life's Made Easier. And she'll be talking about a big craft show. So stay tuned for that because we want to make sure that you get your tickets. Not tickets, but come here and do all your Christmas shopping here at Proctor's. And because yesterday was Armistice Day or Veterans Day, we're going to be showing another clip of Ed Block. He passed away recently, but he just was a phenomenal man, went to China to visit the villages that he was at then. And so very interesting. So we're going to start right out with our guests, and I'm so happy to have Wynn Harmon with me.
Hi.
And Margaret Hall. Margaret Hall is the director, so she's making sure that everything is right.
Hunky-dory.
You hope, yes. And Wynn is here, and he's part of the show, and you play a number of characters, is that correct?
Yes. So
Okay.
if you've seen the great film, It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, you don't play Jimmy Stewart.
No, I don't, but I play 15 other characters.
15 others,
So
okay.
we've watched the film over and over, and we're having a great time figuring out the voices of these different people.
That's interesting because a lot of people that have been in productions, I say, did you watch the movie? No, I didn't want to see the movie. And it's interesting because they say, I want to bring my own character to it. So
Yeah.
to hear this, I think that's great because you're really bringing the memories.
Yeah,
And that's really what this show is all about, is memories.
that's right.
Yeah.
It's also, I think, the word of the day is wonderful. It's a wonderful.
Wonderful.
Life. It's wonderful to be in Albany and see the first snow of the season.
Oh,
Wonderful
where are you
to
from?
be- Well, I live in Manhattan, but I mean, to
Oh,
come
okay.
up here and see it, it's great to look out this morning. And also, Thanksgiving is coming, so working on this, It's a Wonderful Life, helps you think about what you're grateful for in your life and the impact that you may have had on people around you. So you're having a wonderful time working on it and creating it, and so we're excited that people are going to come.
Well, yeah. Margaret, you chose this play, is that correct?
With Maggie.
With Maggie, of course, your artistic director, sure. What makes this play, A Wonderful Life, and I make it the whole title, live from WVL Radio Theater, because it's a radio theater production. I love those, you know. I just watched one with Gilda Radner, and that they did the haunted honeymoon, and it was all the radio thing, which was kind of cool to watch.
We do that too. We make the sounds of walking in the snow and car doors opening and bells going off.
And thunder.
Yeah, so you get to see that as a live audience. So
Yeah.
if you went to a radio presentation back in the day, there was a live audience and there was a listening audience at home. So we're trying to bridge that gap.
No, I think it's great. I love the concept.
I think that is one of the reasons that it was chosen. I mean, it is Frank Capra's classic story,
Sure.
It's a Wonderful Life, but it's told through the lens of this radio program back in the day when people snuggled up to radio and each other on a couch with a glass of wine or something. and listen to
Turn
the
out the
story.
lights and
Just let the atmosphere of their own imaginations come to life with the voices and sound effects of the people telling the story. And what's really fun about this particular telling is, again, it is the classic story. All the folks in Bedford Falls are there, but what happens is it's a snowy night and the regulars for the radio station are stuck elsewhere. And so there's a few folks.
Oh, you got to have a story within a story.
Yeah. We've got a few folks who turn up. The fabulous character actor that Wynn is playing, Maze, another wonderful character actor named Kitty, and then the regular Foley artist, or the man who makes the sound effects, and the station owner's daughter. And they rally together to bring Capra's classic to life for the listeners that are both live in the audience with them and listening to it on the radio.
How cool. And you reminded me of something, what you just said. They always said that radio is the theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Because you imagine what you're listening to. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've been in this production?
The first time I've been in this production, but this is my, I think, fourth show at Cap.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a great place, isn't it?
It is a great place, and it started out with Dr. Faustus, then Taming of the Shrew, then Race.
I love Taming of the Shrew. I love that.
And then I also did the production Pure Poe, which Margaret helped
Love
direct.
Poe, yeah.
And not only did we do it at the theater, but we toured it all over the Capital Region. So
the schools,
thousands of kids have seen that show.
Yeah.
But this is great because I feel like, first of all, we also have a wonderful cast.
We do.
How many are in the cast?
A total of 4 actors and then 2 musicians who also happen to make it in on this snowy evening to help flesh out the sounds of the story.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you start these productions, we didn't know each other. Some of us didn't know each other from before, and thankfully,
she's amazing, isn't she? Yeah.
Together. So we have Lori Wells, Carl Howell, Elizabeth Nesselrode, Josh Smith,
and Harry
Lum, and myself. And so it's great because we're having so much fun. You're talking to us while we're still in rehearsal.
Yeah.
So we're creating it, and there's a part of us saying, well, what if I do this? What about this sound? And how can we make that?
I love that. See,
so
the one thing I think that a lot of people don't realize that you have a director, and the director surely gives you input on, I think it would be better if you were there, that, and this. Yeah. But the actor is also part of that.
Oh, for sure.
They get an idea.
Such a natural instinct of where they would be going or how a character would be moving or sounding. And then thrown into that with this story, you have the iconic characters that people are so familiar with. The Jimmy Stewart, the Donna Reed,
yeah.
Donna
Reed, yeah.
And so
and Clarence Lowell.
And so there's a great wealth there to draw from, while allowing the actors in the room the ability to not copy, but draw from and create how they envision this person, and that person would talk and move through the world.
Exactly.
And coupled into all of that is the craziness of this particular evening.
That the actors didn't show up, and
so many people are not on hand, but they have to literally put themselves on air. They have to, hit the applause sign. They have to get over to the Foley table or the door.
So they're running around.
So they're going in and out, and not having played most of the characters that they're playing that evening. Only Kitty, played by Lori Wells, and Maze, played by the lovely Wynn Harmon. But
lovely Wynn Harmon. Oh.
They're the only ones who have any character knowledge of this story as an actor, from an actor standpoint. And so everybody is hitting it on the fly, going, how am I going to make that person's voice?
Yeah. This has got to be so cool. I can't wait to see it. And it starts on the 22nd of November, which is before Thanksgiving. But you get Thanksgiving off, I hope.
Yes.
You do get Thanksgiving off. So you get time for a little turkey. I hope they buy you turkeys. But you'll have that. And then it runs just before Christmas. So what wonderful advanced Christmas present this would be to give people. And I think it would be great for kids to see this because they're not used to radio.
They're not used to radio, and also just the basic storyline of hope and that everybody's life matters. It matters more than they necessarily realize in every moment that they're living it. The thousands of people you touch by growing up and doing things.
Because he doesn't realize through his life how many things that changed because he was there. Even as a little boy with the the pharmacist, and I'm a pharmacist. Oh, that I go ouch every time I see that.
And he's given the gift of seeing. Well,
What would have
life be
happened?
like if you hadn't been here? Let's
Yeah.
take a look
Then he
at that.
sees his wife is just
Never married.
Never married.
Well, we don't want to.
No, we don't want to take. Well, if you've seen the movie, come on.
Every time, if I see that movie once a year at Christmas time, I forget all the wonderful aspects of it. So hopefully, people coming and seeing it live it'll summon up those memories, but it'll also be fresh because it's been told.
And they're going to go out feeling really good.
I hope so. We feel good telling it, and that's why it's a reminder once a year, hopefully, that it's how wonderful life is.
Yeah, life is good, and it is a wonderful life. We've been speaking with Wynn Harmon and also Margaret Hall, who is the director. And Wynn is playing, what did you say, 15 parts? Woo! I can't even imagine it. But anyway, good for you. Good for you. Take your vitamins, right? We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to be talking with Kate Dunning. Well, actually, Kate will be talking to us because she's going to tell us a story. Stay tuned.
A relationship with many different facets. Even Ellen, who we went first to visit her, but all these different people and everybody in the labor movement that, I deliberately went after all the people, my connections in the labor movement, and a lot of different people have heard the story now.
What's the key message?
The key message is the United States committed atrocities, saw to it that although the 8th Route Army beat the Japanese army, which had beaten the Chinese army before and the Russian army before, 1905, with no planes, no heavy-duty weapons, only determination of.
Okay, Kate Dunning is with me right now, and you will recognize her as a storyteller, and she's with the Story Circle at Proctor's, and they have a big event coming up, the Telebration, and that's going to be at Proctor's, and the theme is mountains. What's that? Mountains too high to climb, or what?
It could be real mountains. It could be virtual mountains.
Okay. And molehills?
No, these are all fairly significant.
Okay.
One of the stories is about Margaret French is going to be telling about taking a bike trip, a multiple-day bike trip.
Okay.
And she's in her mid-70s, and her companion is even older.
Okay.
And the first day, the weather didn't quite cooperate. There are a number of personal stories. We have a traditional story from China, Heaven and Hell. And we have the mountain whippoorwill. Marnie Gillard is going to be reciting that poem. And I'll be telling a historical story, one that I've told a snippet in here, but I won't be sharing that one today.
Okay.
But Telebration is a celebration of storytelling, mostly for adults. It was created about 30 years ago in Connecticut to show people that storytelling is not just for kids. And now it's happening in about 300 locations around the country in November.
I love the idea of the story. You're going to tell a story today. Give us a taste. A taste.
Right. Yes. I find that when I listen to people's stories, I usually learn a lot. This is a story I remember hearing over 20 years ago. It was during diversity training at the company I worked for. Larry, an African American, was one of the facilitators. And he said, not too long ago, I was on vacation in New Hampshire. I went into a gift shop, And as I was coming in, a woman was going out, and she said, "Oh, I'll be right back." And she kept on going out. I went into the gift shop and I looked around, and I realized I was the only one in the shop. She must have been in charge of the shop, and she was, she actually left me alone in her store. That never happens to me in Schenectady. In Schenectady, in every store that I go into, I'm followed around. They expect me to shoplift. That story just struck me. And obviously it has stuck with me, too. That here's a grown man, because of his race, every time he goes into a store, people suspect him being a thief. And I couldn't imagine living with that burden. That I imagine he had to have a tremendous amount of internal fortitude to go, I know it's going to happen, it doesn't matter, I'm a good person. Now, I was in a technical field, and occasionally I was dismissed because I was a woman, or that I only had a master's degree but not a PhD. But that was occasionally, not even once a year. Going into stores, you do that more than once a week, and some days you might do it, several times a day. I never imagined that that's what some African Americans have to deal with. So I find that whenever I listen to someone's stories, I learn a lot. And I think listening to other people's stories is one way we can change the world.
And that's what you'll hear when you go to Celebration, and you hear all these wonderful storytellers telling stories that will touch your heart. Maybe some will make you laugh.
Yes, some are
Make
humorous.
are humorous. They always have a nice variety. Tell us where they can see this.
This will be in the GE Theater on Sunday, November 17th at 3:30 p.m.
Okay.
Tickets available at the Proctor's box office, and there are wonderful refreshments at intermission.
Okay, this sounds good. I plan to be there. I'm going to be ushering for Frozen that night.
Oh.
So I'll be doing a double header. I'll do a double header there and get them both in. The one thing I find about storytelling, it kind of, even listening to this little snippet that you've given us today, you become enchanted. And that's a word that comes to mind. I'm enchanted by listening to the stories. And I remember as a little girl, I used to always say to my mother, when it was quiet, tell me about when you were a little girl. So these are stories that we need to keep alive.
Oh, yes, very much so. The Moth is a wonderful, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it started in New York City, I think about 15 years ago. It specializes in people telling personal stories. That's wonderful. I specialize in telling other people's stories. They're personal stories, they just aren't mine.
But you've had to create them.
Right. And a number of the stories I tell about people who have died. And to me, letting their stories die with them is not something that should happen.
No, we need to keep them all alive.
Right.
That's why we have books, and that's why we have, I don't know if video is going to last that long, but the books should certainly.
Well, I think the medium will transfer. I did run across some VHS tapes that I have. I'm going, and where am I going to stick them?
Well, see, I still have my VHS player, so I didn't get rid of that because there's some, but I need to convert them to DVDs. But then I understand DVDs are going to go out, so who knows, But anyway, one thing that isn't going to go out is the spoken word, because all you need to do is go to Celebration. One more time, I'm going to tell you, it's in the GE Theater. It's going to be on Sunday the 17th, which is coming up. And you can go to that and go to see Frozen afterwards, because that's all the same day, not in the same theater, but anyway. You can do that. So please give a gift to yourself. And if you remember as a kid listening to stories, and maybe you haven't been listening to stories lately. I listen to stories all the time. But anyway, come to the GE Theater on the 17th, which is a Sunday. It's at 3:30, is it? 3:30. And please enjoy the stories that you hear. And they have a few refreshments too, I understand.
Oh, yes, we have, people go all out. We have 4 tables of refreshments.
Oh, sounds good. So enjoy the stories, enjoy the refreshments, and become a fan of storytelling. Maybe you'll take it up yourself, right? Who knows? Good. We've been talking with Kate Dunning from Story Circle at Proctor's, and we've been talking about Celebration. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to find out about George Lunn, who was the first socialist mayor in Schenectady. Stay tuned.
John set up a deal with, I think, President Roosevelt, maybe Truman, to get rid of to get rid of Mao's leadership sided with Jiang.
So at least, what developed was a 4-year Chinese Civil War.
Right.
And so you're saying in 45 the U.S. committed atrocities against the Eighth Route Army and the Chinese Communists.
Right.
But at least we backed off. Off of that war.
That's
and
right.
they had to fight the bloody war themselves.
We're back again, and with me I have Bill Buell. I've been a fan of Bill's for ages. He doesn't know that, but I am a fan of his. I loved his presentations in the Gazette, and which you still probably do some, of history. And now he's been promoted to Schenectady County historian, which is great, Bill. And I bet you're having a good time.
I am having a very good time. I'm getting to know all our different town historians and some village and hamlet historians. I'm trying to get all of us together. We're trying to meet at least 3 or 4 times a year, just so everybody knows what they're doing. There hasn't been a lot of collaboration in the past between, the town of Rotterdam and the town of Glenville or Michigan or whatever. So I'm just trying to bring everybody together and make sure they know each other.
Does this they were looking for a historian. Did they finally get one?
Has a very fine historian, Dennis Brennan.
Okay.
Former retired professor at Union College.
Okay, perfect.
I think he's retired. I hope.
Yeah, well, you can do maybe 2 things for a little while anyway. So what you did was, since you've been kind of the historian, even before you were anointed the historian, you've been the Schenectady Gazette historian, it seems to me, because every time we've talked or I've seen you, you kind of always delved into the past a little bit. But this book, to me, was revealing, because I actually, once I learned what the book was about, I did look him up and I tried to learn a little bit more about him, which found out that he was the first socialist mayor in New York State.
Yep.
But he was here in Schenectady.
He's our first and only socialist mayor of Schenectady. He was born in Iowa.
He's a clergyman.
Yep. He went to Union Theological Seminary. His first job was as an associate pastor in Brooklyn, and then a couple of years later he comes to Schenectady in 1904 to become senior pastor at the First Reformed Church.
So he was at the First Reformed Church. Okay. What prompted him to run for mayor?
He started preaching social justice.
Which, of course, we do that now.
Right. He was at First Reformed from 1904 to the beginning of 1910. Very popular minister. He was filling the pews, they said. But he also started preaching this social justice, became more concerned about the here and now as opposed to the hereafter, and that drew some criticism from members of the consistory. There were many rich people, rich conservative people who were members at the First Reformed, and they didn't care to have their finger pointed at them about the horrible working conditions in Schenectady at the time, the horrible living conditions. Our population was booming.
Yeah, that's when Schenectady Day Nursery came in about that time, yeah.
It went from like 40,000 in 1900 to like 80,000 by 1910.
Well, the immigration came through, yeah.
Right. So he ran into trouble with the consistory. They wanted him gone. He could have had come to a vote of the congregation. He would have been supported fully.
Because they loved him.
Right, because they loved him. But he didn't want to create a rift in the church, so he decided to resign and started another church in 1910, but he also started a citizen newspaper, which was a socialist newspaper. He's kind of drafted by the local Socialist Party to run for mayor. I don't believe they thought he had a chance to win when it started, when their campaign started, like in September, only 2 months before the election.
What a blessing that would be. Yeah.
But lo and behold, he's such a popular guy. He wins, and
Well, you know, to me, it seems like I always get upset when people talk socialism. It's not a dirty word, because we do have. I mean, we are in a nation where we have roads paid for, we have our police, we have a post office, we have fire departments. I mean, if you look at that, that's all part of the social portion of our living in this country. So to use to demonize it so much, when in fact you should look at what it really means to social justice. We use the word social security. It's used all the time.
My book is not political at all. It's just a history of what happened in the Mohawk
That's what
Valley.
historians do.
Right. However, if somebody reads it and comes to the conclusion that socialism isn't necessarily an evil word,
yeah.
I would be very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Because it is a big umbrella.
Well, that's
There's
it. I
good
mean,
examples, there's been bad examples.
exactly. Well, the same thing with any kind of theocracy, monarchy. I mean, you name it. There's always something.
And he ends up leaving the Socialist Party too. So
Yeah.
it's not an argument or an endorsement for the Socialist Party. He becomes a Democrat and becomes a U.S. congressman.
Yeah, I know. He moved right on. He was even as lieutenant governor, I think, or something. Yeah.
Under Al Smith, our first Catholic.
Yeah. See, there you go. You know, right, got those Catholics in there now. You never know what's going to happen, right? So.
Well, I'm old enough to remember John F. Kennedy.
Oh my gosh, yes, I
elected,
remember
and some
that
people
too.
were concerned.
Yeah, because he was going to go with the papacy,
Right.
rather, which was ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. The labeling bothers me. If anybody has ever listened to me speak on the side, labeling bothers me because we want to demonize certain words, even words like communism. If you go to a country like, I've been to China, and it's a communist country, and believe me, it's about as capitalistic as you can get. So kind of be careful when you use words.
Right. You should all worry about labels. And using them correctly.
And use them correct. Not that you can't use the word, but understand that you don't use a word, you just demonize things. Yeah. And are we getting political, Bill? Yeah, I know. But that's what you hear when you hear me. You know, I'm going to come right out and say what I think. How can I get that book? And I know you're doing a big thing at the Historical
Society on Saturday at 2 o'clock, and it's available at Open Door.
Okay.
It is available online. However, I have some friends
Amazon.
that told me it's out of stock, but that's going to change, so just keep on trying.
Yeah.
To come up empty.
Well, this is really interesting. And did you self-publish, or is this?
Yes,
Yeah. Because that's pretty much what you have to do anymore. It's not an easy way to.
I didn't necessarily want it to be a real academic book.
Yeah.
I just wanted it to be welcoming to, a sixth grader.
Yeah.
Or any kind of adult. I'm not trying to impress a college professor or anybody like that. I did have a publisher lined up, but we just kind of parted company.
No, I think that if you want something that's yours, that's what you have to do. But I think that this is available, because I did go on, and because I got one of the photos I got was off Amazon, I think. So I know that they at least advertised it. But if you want to learn a little something about the history of Schenectady, which if you're a Schenectadian, I don't care where you live in the capital region, this man was a trendsetter. I mean, something that had never been done before. And he moved on, and Bill is going to probably come up with another book. Who knows what he's going to come up with, one on alcohol or something.
I spent 10 years with this guy, and I did it because he was so likable. He seemed like a wonderful guy. I know that because I did meet his daughter-in-law in 2005, Maxine Lund, a wonderful woman before she passed away.
Yeah.
And she was just raving about him.
Great.
Very sweet, a gentleman, always polite.
He must have been, because anybody who's into social justice is usually a good
All the
person.
research I did about him, he never disappointed me.
Yeah.
Kind of like researching Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
He
Never
disappointed.
disappointed.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to read the book, you can go to the Open Door and pick it up, or come to the Schenectady Historical Society, and that's going to be on Saturday. What time?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. And come meet him in person. He's a nice guy, really is. Come meet him in person, and maybe you can. Will you have a book that you can sell there?
Yes.
And you'll auction autograph it. Yeah. Hey, do it, and meet an author. Meet an icon in our community. Bill Buell has been around, I won't say a long time, but you've been around a while. And you've seen his articles in the Gazette. Believe me, he's everything you expect him to be. So thanks so much, Bill, for being here. It's a pleasure to have you on. It really is. And I love what you've done. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about, would you believe it, a blacksmith and what he does? Oh, my God. Amazing stuff. Stay tuned.
You look as though you're lying, but
No, it's good. Okay, tell me this. In 2012, what was the Chinese response to your story, person to person up front?
well, I'm sure that on their part, they were very carefully monitored what they could say or listen approvingly to or whatever. It was all very, very carefully limited. If you had been there,
Well, I have my favorite blacksmith with me. You're the only one I know.
The only one.
But anyway, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. And when he walked in, I said, "Oh, I love your pendant. That pendant is a knife. Can you believe that? He's a forger."
I'm a forger. Yes, I am.
So I want the Ben Franklins.
Do you? Okay. Okay. I can do that for you.
Okay, but it'll be on a knife.
Yeah, no, this is actually, it's called a patch knife. It's what the mountain men used to carry in the days when they loaded a ball in the end of the gun and had to cut off the excess patch. It's just a quick, handy little knife.
So it was a tool that they used for that. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely,
Well,
yeah.
I know all knives
It's
tools,
not,
but
well,
yeah.
it's not just a decoration.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I thought it looked kind of nice.
Okay. Well, it does,
Good.
doesn't it? Yeah.
One of your specialties is knives, and I know that we have some photos we can show, but did you bring anything in person to show?
I did.
Because he always brings something. But while he's getting that out, I want to tell you, he's really promoting the Schoharie craft and fair that's coming up in Schoharie. It's the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, I think it is.
Yes.
Did I get the right dates? And you can go, and it's at the Railroad Museum. You know a Railroad Museum there?
Yeah, in Schoharie, there's a railroad museum.
I did not know
It's
that.
down on Depot Lane. It's just a real neat place to go, and they've got an actual railroad car there.
Oh, I'll have
and
to scoot down there and check it
Yeah,
out. Maybe
no,
I'll
it's really
check
nice.
out some of the sale items. So what did you bring with us? And are these going to be available at the sale?
They are going to be available. And
Okay.
just a little more about the craft fair. We've got over 30 vendors. It's a wonderful event. I'm
Okay.
upstairs, so come see me. But
Okay.
a lot of really good people.
Well, they keep the knives out of reach.
I try
You're going to
to.
be upstairs.
I try to. Yeah, no,
Good.
it's the little kids.
And I
so-
love your bone handle. Is it what is
This
it?
is an antler handle.
Antler.
And that knife, a girl I used to work with came to me.
Look at
Her
that.
father's a big
Gorgeous.
hunter, and that was one of the antlers
I know.
he had taken
Okay, you can
from
see
a
that.
deer. And she wanted a knife handle made out of it. So
Don't you have to be pretty careful with antlers? I mean, wouldn't you split? Would they split or?
antlers are probably, they're rocks.
Oh, they're like
Right,
rocks. Okay.
Yeah, and they can be brittle, but very hard to work with. But as you can see, it's a very classic look.
It's a
very-
beautiful, beautiful knife. What would I use this knife for?
Well, if I don't behave, I'm sure you could find a, no. It's a hunting
No, I
knife.
wasn't thinking of it as being a personal defense item.
No, no.
But although it could be, I'm sure.
It's,
Would this be like for gutting
for hunting or whatever,
okay.
general use.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Damascus steel, and that's a layered steel that,
it's gorgeous.
yeah, yeah, the pattern comes out.
It not only is this utilitarian,
Right.
but it's a piece of art.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
And do you make these too?
Yes, I do. I do.
Look
all
at that.
own
Oh my
work.
gosh. Look at that.
And here's one with a wood handle.
Oh, just like my kitchen knife.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
And look at the heft on that. That's got some
that's
nice
a
weight.
beast. That's a beast.
It's got some nice weight to it.
Yep. But what I do is I can custom make them to anything you want. As far as
Is this something like a Scotsman would wear in his?
no, it's a little big for that.
A little big
That's
for that,
actually
okay.
called a shindo, and I've made those before.
Okay, those are
For
different.
a wedding, I made a 5-foot claymore sword one time. Yeah,
Oh.
that was quite the beast.
Yeah, I imagine.
But anyway, so
And do you take special orders if somebody wants to?
I custom make. I do an awful lot of
I'm not
that.
gonna put that in. I'd probably cut my hand off.
I'd
No.
appreciate if you didn't. I don't have a mop with blood. But like this knife here that I made for the woman I used to work with,
With the antler.
right, and she wanted a very specific knife for her father for Christmas and all that. Well, if he's watching, hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
But anyway, that's
Or
what
don't
she
look.
did. But no, I custom make any size, shape. I've recently taken orders for some chef's knives.
Yeah. Oh, nice. But can we see the pictures, because one of them was a Christmas setting that you had, which I thought was kind of interesting. A tree with little. Yeah. What is that?
That's just horseshoe art. A little Christmas tree, a
With the
reindeer.
antlers, the little deer with the antlers.
Yeah.
And those are the
Yeah,
horseshoes
man.
you do. Yeah.
But that's just some of the stuff I do. Those are more of the knives that I've made. Like I said, custom make anything you want. I try to keep them affordable for people. Because
Well, this takes you a little time to make, so you
Yeah.
got to figure your time. Yeah.
just to make the steel alone, to make a pattern or the layered Damascus, will take me a full day just to make the billet of steel.
Of just the one knife, or
Yeah.
can you do multiple knives at the
I
same?
can do multiple knives at
Okay.
the same time, but after you get the billet of steel, now you have to draw it out and actually make the knife, put on the handles. It's a lot of labor, but it's a labor of
Now,
love.
you buy the steel, or do you? It's because steel is what, nickel and what?
No, steel, it depends. It comes in many different varieties. There's 1095, which is a high carbon steel. There's 01 tool steel. I could go on. forever.
Okay? So when you're in that field, you know.
Right. And what gives you the pattern is when you take two different types of steel and you forge weld them together, and you keep layering it and layering it and layering it. It's just like pastry. You layer that up, completely make the knife, and then the last thing you do is dip it in acid, and that brings out the pattern.
Oh, so that's when I look at this and I see this little pattern here. That's what does.
Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't know that.
Because different
I love
steels-
that. I thought you did that by hand.
No. It's, different steels react differently to the acid. One will darken more than the other.
I see.
Which
Okay.
gives you the pattern. And everyone's a fingerprint. Everyone is different.
Yeah, because there's going to be different, because nothing can be the same if you
Exactly.
once you do that.
Exactly.
So you can actually purchase something, not this one because this one's a
That's
Christmas
already
present.
purchased.
You can't do that one unless
This
you
one's for sale. The
but
other one.
unless you want to bring your own antler in, and he can make one just like this if you bring a good antler in.
But
You know,
that's what you do with it. Oh, by the way, before I forget,
we're almost out of time.
I always bring you a little gift.
Oh
There's a
my
little-
God! Look at that with a little heart on it. Oh, I love that. I know exactly what I'm gonna do with that
Oh,
too.
good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. You know what? Because I carry my keys on my belt,
Yes.
so I'm very ladylike. So I carry my keys on my belt. People say, "Don't you carry a purse?" I said, "No, I hate purses." So this is where I'm going to hang this up, and this is where my keys are going to go when I take them off.
That's what you need.
So that's perfect. Right now I'm throwing them in a box.
That's okay.
So-
Don't throw them in a box.
No, I'm going to hang them up right on that, and it's going to be at least. Did you know you have to hang your keys at least 10 to 15 feet away from your car, or else your battery goes dead
Yes,
on your key?
I've heard that. Yes.
So I'm doing them in the dining room now.
go,
So, anyway, check out the sale over at Schoharie. You'll have a great time. Look at what you can buy. A knife. Oh my gosh, these are gorgeous. gorgeous stuff. Not only that, he doesn't just do knives. He does wonderful. And I should have brought in what you gave me last time. I meant to do that, but I had too many things I was carrying. So anyway, he's amazing. So check out Brian Salisbury. Go to his website. You'll find out all kinds of neat stuff that he has on there
Please
too.
come to the craft fair.
Please
It's
do.
really a great.
He's a nice
great
guy,
time.
and he'll show you this stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'd love to have him on the show. We're going to take a quick break, and we know we're going to be still talking, with the folklore and also all kinds. They do crafts as well there, so let's learn a little bit about that and their 75th anniversary. Stay tuned.
That was the focus. Because they knew it. I mean, it wasn't new to them, for heaven's sake. Ed Block had been one of those involved with the Japanese and the Chinese who supported the Japanese.
Amazing.
Yep.
Well, now, in 2013, like right now, what's your message to, for example, the U.S. State Department or the Fletcher School of International Relations? What's your message?
And here we are back again, and Ellie McHale, I'm telling you, she has such a passion for New York folklore, and we're going to hear about how long it's been around. 75 years. I know that you haven't been around that long with it, but let's talk about your 75th anniversary. What a celebration that is.
It is.
Yeah.
We've been working on it for almost a year, actually, and 75 is a big year.
Of course it is.
We are planning
3/4 of a century.
3/4 of a century. And so we're planning a big celebration in Ossining. We are based in Schenectady.
You are?
A statewide organization.
And we had a picture of your, we'll bring up a picture of your location as well.
Great. And but because Ossining is close to New York City, we have many members and supporters.
It makes sense.
They can come up for the day.
And it's nothing for us to go down there.
Right, and we have many people coming from this area who will then come to the event. So
Yeah, and when is the event?
it is this Saturday, the 16th,
Okay.
from 4 to 8.
4 to 8. And it's going to be held in a Bethany?
Bethany Arts Community
Yeah.
is another nonprofit, small arts organization, and they've taken over, I think, a Catholic retreat center.
Oh,
So
okay.
They have some galleries, they have a beautiful performing space. Some of us are going to be spending the night there. They have a lodging facility, so
Great.
it's a great place to have a celebration.
How are you celebrating this? I mean, what would make this celebration the biggest thing, except for the 100th?
I think we have a wonderful lineup of performers. We have a fiddling section because fiddling is something New York State has many different varieties. So we have Sarah Milanovic, who's from the region, wonderful fiddler from the Amsterdam area. She'll be performing. Harry Bullock, who does great work in the Westchester County area, is going to be fiddling. And then we have, I don't remember his name, another fiddler who comes from the klezmer tradition.
Oh, the klezmer. I love klezmer music.
So we have like a little celebration of kinds of traditions.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of music happening in the second room. We have Linda Chandra from the Albany area. She called me and said, "May I please come?"
She's wonderful. And her and her son.
And they're going to be performing along with the East River Ensemble from the Menchus Society.
She plays the traditional Eastern music, yeah.
And then we have a Chinese group. We have a group that's playing Colombian music and jazz. So they'll be lots of different things.
You have a lot going on.
We do have a lot going on that day. We'll have an auction. We are still having some upstate downstate games.
I saw that. What is an upstate downstate?
Flag football. That was on the schedule.
Flag football? Well, you could play that indoors, maybe.
But yeah, but that would be on the lawn because Bethany Arts Community has a beautiful home. So,
Yeah.
And our journal will be celebrating 75 years next year, so we're kind of trying to make this a 2-year celebration.
Nice.
And the journal always had a column called Upstate Downstate, so we had an upstate person who talked about the North Country and what kinds of folklore was happening in the upstate region, and then we always had a New York City representative. So we kept that upstate downstate column in the current journal that we have.
Right. So where does Buffalo come in? Are they West State?
Upstate.
I know it is. It's funny because somebody says about upstate New York, and I said, "Yeah, I'm from upstate New York." And she said, "Oh, you're from Syracuse," and I'm going, "No."
It's funny, how do you define upstate? There was a conversation one day. Where does upstate start? Where does it end? Yeah.
When you leave Manhattan, everything else is upstate. Right. But this is great, and I wanted to mention because with your location, your bricks and mortar location, you're doing exhibitions as well. So tell us a little bit about your space. Are you still selling crafts and things?
Also, yes. We've been on Bay Street in Schenectady since 2000.
Yeah, a long time.
We started in the Cooper Salon, so we moved around, but now we're in Schenectady. And we do have a gallery space. Right now we have artist named Mary Marcus Charlie, who's beautiful, beautiful work.
I was trying to connect with her, and I couldn't. Yeah, we just couldn't do it.
Yeah, from the Ithaca area. And she's, her show is up through the middle of January. And then we'll have Mark Saunders, who's a local artist from West Portland, who does stone and copper work, will be in the gallery. So we do have this changing exhibition space. And then we have a small consignment in the gallery that is totally for sales.
Yeah. And consignment is nice because it gives both parties a chance to.
Yeah. We offer we offer to sell people's work, and many artists who do traditional art don't have a lot of volume, but they have maybe 5 to 10 pieces that they like to sell. So
Yeah.
there's a real variety in our gallery.
Yeah, and it gives them an opportunity without making a big splash and selling in a store. I mean, that you can do that. I really like what you do, and when you talk about folklore, you know, you think, well, what is New York folklore? But New York has so much folklore because we're talking Native Americans, we're talking about basket makers, we're talking about artists, we're talking about photographers. I mean, you've got it all.
Exactly. And we work up to the point of everybody, a lot of times people think folklore, oh, that's old stuff.
No.
But we work with contemporary, currently living artists, and we also say, if you are in New York, you are part of New York folklore. So we work with a lot of newcomer artists, a lot of artists who are recently arrived from other countries.
And you recently had that something from India. Was it the I forgot where she was from, but the art was amazing that I thought I saw. Yeah.
Oh yes, Ebru art.
Yeah, that was it.
Turkey.
Yeah, Turkey. That was it. I'm sorry. My mind goes.
Yeah, no. So we are multicultural.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to say with our Sunday Faith is I've always said we're all about cultural equity and supporting everybody's cultural experiences. And in looking back at the old documents from 75 years ago, that's how we started. So it's not niche anymore.
No.
To say, yes, that's where we started. We started with a cultural
You've kept your mission.
equity statement. Yes.
Yeah. Kept your mission. And it's important. If you want to, you know, we talk about on the holidays and things, we talked about craft shows. We're going to be talking about another craft show coming up, which is a very important one as well. But, you know, what I would like to encourage you as a viewer is to buy local. I don't care where you go, but buy local. Because these are the people that are supporting our communities. It's not going to Bentonville, Arkansas, where the big W is. It's staying here. And the money is being recirculated, going into, you know, housing, going into food, whatever it is. Buy local. If you can possibly buy local, I recommend it, whether you buy from an artisan or wherever, but buy local. Can I say that enough?
You can. And we participate in Small Business Saturday, so we are part of that small business environment in downtown Schenectady.
Yeah.
We really need to be in that downtown.
Yeah, try and buy local. I know that people like to buy online, but if possible, put those little boots on your feet and get out there and walk around, find out what's in your community, because if you lose all the stores in our communities and you can only buy online, what a sad day that will be. Yeah.
There's a lot more to offer in downtown Schenectady.
Oh my gosh, it's getting, whether you like a good restaurant or whatever. But anyways, talking to Ellen McHale, stop by New York Folklore. They're on J Street. Did I say J Street? Yeah. I don't know where I went. I went blank for a second. J Street, and check out their their wonderful little store that they have, and check out the gallery as well. But buy local. That's all I can keep saying. I will say it over and over again. Buy local, buy local, buy local. Go to the craft shows. Go to the green market. Do whatever you have to do. Buy local. Good. Thank you so much, Ellie. So good. Happy Thanksgiving. So I forgot to wish that to everybody. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, you're going to find out another big craft and vendor show coming up. Mark your calendar, because this is where you're going to want to do a lot of your Christmas shopping. Stay tuned.
That one group of Afghanis who were fighting the Russians were armed by the United States. Taliban, for example. So there's plenty of dirty linen, and originally the thing was to, because the Communist Party of Afghanistan.
Ed Block, and he's a veteran, or he passed away, but such an interesting man. But right now we're talking about, you don't have far to go, just come downtown to Proctor's and go to the Craft and Vendor Show, which is going to be on December 7th. We have Robin Batista with us, and she's the founder and president of Lives Made Easier. You do some amazing stuff with your money.
Thank you.
Yeah. How much, how do you fund what you do?
Well, I usually have profits. I have found that usually it is the best way, I think.
Well, you had one recently, and now you're going to have another one.
I did. Yep. And you know, what I do is the vendors pay a fee.
For the space, yeah.
Right. And that money goes towards some sort of equipment for someone who needs it.
And I looked up on your webpage to find out what you do, and I made a list of, I don't know whether you happen to see it, but I made a list of some of the items. One of the things that you, a sit ski,
Yep.
what is that? I'm familiar with stride and a number of things, but what's a sit ski?
So the person,
There's a list right there of what you've donated, yeah.
the person can sit down, you know, right up and can skate.
Okay.
And I got that for someone who is a paraplegic, and he was, you know, always loved skating, and he would usually borrow one from Stride.
Okay. And we were just talking about stride earlier before the show started, yeah.
And he's been with Stride for a long time, and they've helped him, and he, you know, he loves skiing, and he really wanted his own sit ski.
Yeah, because he wants to go when he wants to go. Right, right.
He likes to see if one is available, and he likes to go on his phone sometimes. So, yeah, he sits down on it, and he's got just one ski on the bottom.
He can maneuver that.
Yeah.
I know that this is not cheap, what you do. My grandson is a sled hockey player. Equipment is very expensive.
It's very expensive.
And it has to be repaired. And there's a lot, and it has to be transported and all that. So what you do is you try and augment some of the special needs that people have. And they're going to come to you and say, you know, I would really like a walker, a special walker, or whatever it is. So in order to do that, you need to raise the money. So you have 2 craft fairs, or do you have more?
I've had a bunch of craft fairs. You know, I started the organization about 4 years ago.
Called Lives Made Easier. You should have a website. Go to their website.
And I've had, I usually have maybe a couple craft fairs a year.
Okay.
And, you know, I have tried to raise some money some other ways, and, you know, I get donations.
Can someone donate? If they're watching right now and they said, you know, she's got really a good cause, can I send a check?
Yeah, sure. They can go to the website, livemadeeasier.org, and donate right there. Or, that's really the best way. I mean, they could send a check, but, that way it's right through PayPal. It's pretty simple. Some people, don't have PayPal and they don't donate that way.
Yeah.
So they can, donate. My email and everything is right on the website. So
Good. Now, if they come to your craft fair, what would they expect to find there? I mean, I'm telling everybody, buy local, buy local. What would they get there? I mean, is this something that they could give to anybody in the family?
Oh yeah, I mean there's a huge variety. There's all different kinds of things. There's a lot of crafters that make their own, it's a lot of handmade things, and then there's also the direct sales companies, places like Avon or Pampered Chef,
Okay.
Tupperware, so there is gifts for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So that now you say it's a craft and vendor. So the vendors would be the direct sales then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's then there's all the handmade crafts.
Right.
And they have some really nice things.
Yeah. So how? When is this? What time would people come, and where would they could park behind Proctor's? Obviously free. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It goes from 12 to 5.
Okay. And that's held in Robb Alley.
Yes.
Okay. By the Apostrophe Cafe. Have lunch and yeah.
It's perfect. The cafe is right there. So it's really nice. The vendors love it. It's a great location, and it's a really great event to come to. It turns out really good every year.
Well, that's good. So how much? So the thing is, you need vendors. That's where you make the money that you can.
Right.
And it's not like this is a nonprofit, so it's not like she's putting it in her pocket. That money is going right back into.
All the money goes right to the equipment.
Right to the equipment. So if you have, can vendors still sign up?
Vendors can still sign up.
Okay, so if they have something to sell, they could contact you, get a table. You provide the tables, or do they have to bring their own? Proctor's provides the table.
And chairs, so, and it's being right downtown and everything. It's just a really great. The vendors really they love. I have a lot of different vendors that come each year, but I also get a lot of the same ones who say they're really excited to do it again. They say I did this last year, can I do it again? And it's
So it's successful.
It
is very successful.
And it's just it'd be great if a lot of people came shopping now because the vendors really do put a lot of effort into it. It takes a lot of work. I don't think when people go to a craft fair, they don't really think about what the vendors have put into this.
Yeah, they got to make the products, they've got to transport it, they got to set up a nice display, or else you're not going to be interested in looking at it.
Right. Pack up their car, unpack their car, bring it all inside, set up their tables, and like you said, the display is really important. And some of them have just really unbelievable displays.
Lovely displays.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work for them, and then they have to unpack, pull all the stuff away.
Wrap it up and take it back home again. Hope that they don't have a whole lot to carry back, right?
Right.
Yeah, good. I'm just going to say who's coming up next week, and then we'll continue with our conversation. I have an author coming up, Nick Zakharzenko. I have a little connection there because he used to be a student of mine at the College of Pharmacy, went on to become a dentist, and we've been keeping in touch. But Nick is an amazing man, and he's a dentist, a well-known dentist in the area. So he's writing children's books. He's written a number of other books, but we're going to talk about that. Then the Circle Theater Players will be on. They're talking about Laughter on the 23rd Floor, which is a Neil Simon one. Jan will be here to talk about Beat the Snow concert. Oh, don't we love those in the winter over at the library. My side, the trains are coming, toot toot. And then the Troy Turkey Trot. This is where you burn off all your calories before you have the meal. And then the Waterford, we're going over to Waterford Museum and Cultural Center and find out about what they're doing too. So I do want to thank you, Robin Batista, for being here, and at least and having the idea and the wherewithal to start Lives Made Easier. Because without this organization, a few people might have fallen through the cracks.
Because it is so expensive, and insurance doesn't cover a lot of it.
No, I know it doesn't.
Yeah. So these are things people really need, they wouldn't, it's just,
Well, to lead a full life, there has to be more than just, dealing with your issues.
Right.
You need to be like the idea of whether it's sled hockey or it's adaptive tennis or whatever.
yeah, or even just, special wheelchairs and scooters and ramps. I mean, insurance.
You do ramps, yeah, I know.
Ramps, anything that people might need, chair lifts. Right now, I am trying to help a lady get a specialized wheelchair that she really needs. To help her just live her daily life.
Yeah.
She really needs this.
So if you have an electric wheelchair, give her a call. Sometimes people have these things left over after someone passes. It might be a good way to donate it too. Yeah. So you'll take donations of items like that as well. We've been talking with Robin Batista, Lives Made Easier. Check it out. Support their sale and have a wonderful holiday.